You're on Reality Shadow Band with Chris. My portal's still stuck to the wall, and if anybody knows, if anybody knows how to get that stuff off, I'd like to know. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about example 10, sci-fi pseudo math science. So I love this new alternative science that's actually hardcore, not just goofy woofy wackadoodle guys, but like hardcore math and science guys that are like, hey, wait a second, some of this stuff isn't right, and they're completely blacklisted and shadow banned in their field. And they still publish these papers, which is like, hey, by the way, you did this wrong, I didn't do this over here. Like, there's been so many of these large scale boondoggle, taxpayer, super collider, linear hadron collider, whatever, all these different huge, massive uh, projects, these science projects that fail. It's like, hey, maybe they failed. Maybe the large collider stuff isn't going to do it. But no, that's not how it goes, because now you have the grifters. You have the grifters who are awesome bullshit artists. And one of the things that's really fucked about the science and the physics science is it's mathy. It's like pseudo math. It's all like math. See, we have developed this language that kind of, sort of mimics some aspects of nature enough to be pretty darn useful in a lot of ways, but it's not actually how nature works. And math and physics people will argue this point because they're super autistic and they don't understand there's things outside the range of their autistic abilities to diagnose with numbers and the current math that we have, which is useful, but it's not the thing that's actually going on. It's an abstraction that allows us to reason with it. And it has limits. We probably reached the limits. We need a different type of math. And I know there's people working on that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I just want to go into it because this guy gives an alternate view. I am going to speed him up. His accent is very thick, but his information he's bringing to you is pretty legit. I'm going to do about half of the video and then skip to the end.
Today we're going to discuss black holes, and specifically the concept of singularity inside the black holes that was proposed back in 1970 by Stephen Hawking and Roger Penrose in the paper they wrote together that you can find in the description below. And
that's why Hawking is famous, was for this paper. But you know, the thing about these things is they're not provable or disprovable. They're just mathematical theories, and just like bullshitters can work with the English language, the mathematics, you can play a lot of funny little games if you assume this, assume this, assume this. Well, those assumptions have to be reasoned out somewhere in nature and reality, but if they can't be proven, like in a faraway place in a star that can't be even traveled to in a billion years, that's a place where you got a lot of boondoggle, where you can't prove stuff. You can bullshit a lot. And some of these guys are really awesome bullshitters because they mix in the real stuff with the stuff that they state like it's a fact, but it's actually just their kind of conceptual idea of how this possibly may occur in some certain circumstance.
Natural, when applied to black holes, it basically means that once you cross the event horizon, you essentially reach a point where, well, first of all, there's going to be only one direction. I guess you can call it down. And so even if you try to move to the left or to the right, or try to, I guess, move up, you're still going to be going down at all times. And what exactly is down? Well, it's supposed to be that singularity.
So fair use. Go over and give Anton a like and subscribe. He does do good material. So he's at least asking questions. He's trying to put it in English as much as we can. And that's hard to do for this kind of bullshit because it's difficult to describe what's going on. Because
animation by Andrew Hamilton sort of presents this pretty accurately. And in essence, it represents this point of infinity where everything sort of gets condensed into, I guess, nothingness or somethingness. But in essence, the math here breaks down, so it's unclear exactly what's going on here.
So the math breaks down. Exactly, just what I just said. The math breaks down.
But the assumption was that everything gets crushed and becomes this infinite something. But we know that infinity generally only seems to exist in mathematics. It potentially does not exist in physical world.
Right. And a lot of the stuff that we're chasing, that's this public like sci-fi pseudoscience bullshit is this crap.
So because of this, not a lot of scientists accept singularity as a concept and believe there are better explanations that we just don't have yet. And today, we're going to discuss one of these explanations.
Yeah, a scientific honesty of like, we don't know yet, or we don't know a way to figure that out yet, or that's something we still have 16 steps away. We're on step 2, and that's 29 steps from here. If it even works at all, that's science. Not, we made a discovery and there's going to be a black hole and you can't escape. It means the universe is going to die.
Posed by an iconic black hole scientist, a scientist that has an entire metric named after him, Roy Kerr, a mathematician from New Zealand who made a lot of intriguing propositions about black holes around the time the concept was born a few decades ago. And he was actually the first to realize that, well, these types of concepts only apply to black holes that are completely stationary, do not possess any momentum, do not possess any charge, and most importantly, do not spin. And these...
Okay, so that's like nothing. That's like nothing in this universe. So under those circumstances, you can totally get a black hole, but other than that, forget about it.
Schwarzschild black holes make sense mathematically, but potentially not physically, and may not really exist in the actual universe. And that's because all black holes we've discovered to date will usually spin, and are also expected to contain charge as well. And so he proposed the concept of spinning black holes that are now known as the Kerr black hole. Black holes that actually become a little bit more complicated and acquire additional regions. First of all, they acquire this really intriguing region known as ergosphere that we discussed in videos before, that in essence represents this very strange space-time region where you can never stay still. And according to him, most of them don't have to...
I'm just going to jump to the conclusion because you can go look at the video.
And in singularity at all, with his overall conclusion suggesting that end up in singularity, and according to him, most of them don't have to end in singularity at all, with his overall conclusion suggesting that singularity is not required in a black hole. And so after 60 years, he makes a new proposition which basically removes singularity completely. But more importantly, he combines physical observations from black holes, or essentially understanding that all black holes spin and all black holes possess other properties, with his previous propositions that usually involve a ring-like singularity at least. And so intriguingly, once you cross the event horizon here, according to him, it may become possible to travel in different directions inside the black hole as long as you stay between the ring and the event horizon. Now you still cannot leave the black hole, you're still stuck inside the event horizon, but it does become possible to move between these two regions, possibly indefinitely.
Okay, so there's a whole bunch of different ways this thing can be interpreted. That's the whole point of this video, is like not necessarily about black holes or Stephen Hawking, even though those guys are ding-dongs, and these things may not exist. But to say like a lot of the science that's promoted and the way it's communicated is kind of head fakey and has an underlying undertone. For some reason, they want to let you know about it. So that's really the question. Is like, why are they gonna have a thing that sucks in things and can never be retrieved again? Why do they want you to know that that's a thing that exists in the universe that's totally mythical, totally made up? By the way,